Welcome to Growleap Academy, the deep dive that helps you break free from financial myths, reclaim your power, and build a life of freedom with purpose and strategy. Think back, way back, to the very first money advice you ever got. For most of us, it was probably pretty straightforward, wasn't it? Something like, save your money.
Yeah, be responsible.
Tuck it away for a rainy day. The usual stuff. If you save enough, you'll be safe.
And honestly, when you're just starting out, that sounds like solid gold advice.
Yeah.
It feels right.
Totally. And maybe once upon a time in a completely different economy, maybe it was enough.
It definitely formed the bedrock, didn't it, for a whole generation's thinking about money. Passed down, with the absolute best intentions.
Right.
But here's the question, the one hardly anyone stops to really dig into. What if that advice, that core idea about just saving money, what if it was never actually meant to make you, truly wealthy? What if it was more like, I don't know, a financial Band-Aid?
Okay.
A temporary fix within a bigger system that maybe, just maybe, kind of keeps you hovering just below real financial freedom.
That's a big thought, isn't it? Because it kind of pushes against everything we were taught.
You really got.
We learned, hold on to every penny, fear spending, measure your success by how little you needed, how big that savings account number got.
While at the same time, it felt like other people were playing a totally different game.
Yeah. They were somehow multiplying their money, not just hoarding it.
And that leads us right to something that can feel, pretty uncomfortable. A bit of a stinging truth for a lot of people listening right now.
Which is?
In today's world, the way things are now, you just cannot save your way to significant wealth. It's just not possible anymore.
The game has changed, fundamentally, from what our parents or grandparents knew.
Completely. Those old rules about just money pile up slowly, they don't really apply in the same way. The whole playbook is different.
And that's exactly what this deep dive is all about. We're going to really unpack this huge money myth, the idea that saving alone is the path.
A myth that honestly holds millions of people back, keeps them playing by rules that just aren't effective anymore.
So we'll dig into why those old rules don't work, pinpoint what really builds wealth today, and explore that crucial shift in thinking. Moving from just surviving financially
to actually scaling, to building something meaningful.
Yeah. It feels like it's time to break the silence on the lie of only saving. Not saying saving is bad, obviously.
Not at all. But exposing the limits, showing what really truly leads to financial freedom now.
Okay, so where did this whole saving is everything idea even come from? Why did it stick so hard?
To really get it, you kind of have to mentally time travel. Picture the world, say, back in the 1950s.
Okay, post-war era, different vibe entirely.
Totally different. Think about jobs back then. For a lot of people, they felt stable. You could get a job at a factory, an office, a local business.
And you expected to stay there for a long time.
Yeah, often, for most of your career. Bringing home a steady, predictable paycheck, that was the norm for many.
And day-to-day life, costs were just different, weren't they, relative to what people earn?
Massively different. Groceries were affordable. Gas was, 30 cents a gallon? Maybe less.
Wow.
The basics, the things you needed to live, were genuinely within reach for a typical working family.
Okay, so in that environment, saving actually worked pretty well as a strategy, didn't it?
It did. For a couple of key reasons. Wages, generally speaking, were going up, often faster than the cost of living.
Right.
But the other huge factor, interest rates. Savings accounts actually paid decent interest. You might get 3%, 4%, maybe even 5% on your savings safely in the bank.
So your money wasn't just sitting there doing nothing, it was actually growing.
It was growing. And crucially, it was often growing fast enough to keep pace with or even beat the inflation rate back then, which was generally lower and more stable.
Meaning the money you saved could actually buy more stuff later on, or at least the same amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Its purchasing power was being preserved, maybe even increasing slightly. Your savings felt genuinely productive.
So no wonder that generation passed down the advice. Save your money, live below your means, don't take silly risks.
It made perfect sense. It was advice born from an economic reality where it was effective. It built security over a lifetime for them.
And because it worked for them, they told their kids, our parents maybe.
Yep, who then told us. The same advice passed down like family lore.
But the world did a massive shift.
Huge shift, while the advice largely stayed frozen in time.
We're not in that 1950s economy anymore. Not even close. For decades now, for many people, wages haven't really kept up with the real cost of living.
Especially for the big things. Housing, forget about it. Healthcare, education. The costs have exploded compared to average income growth.
And those safe savings accounts we talked about?
Huh. Safe? Maybe. The interest? Often less than 1%, sometimes way less.
So your money is safe from, like, a stock market crash?
But it's actively losing value every single day to inflation. Its buying power is shrinking constantly.
It's like you said, it's like using an old map, following it perfectly, but the city has been completely rebuilt.
Right. You did everything you were told. You were responsible. But the destination you were promised isn't there anymore because the landscape changed.
So you're told save, save, save to build wealth, but the actual cost of the freedom you're saving for just keeps getting higher and higher.
And you're told play it safe, avoid risk. But the current system, it often punishes that kind of passive safety and rewards calculated strategic risk-taking.
Okay, so let's be super clear. Saving isn't bad. We're not saying don't save money.
Absolutely not. Saving is crucial. It's your foundation. It's the emergency fund.
The cushion. Job loss, car breaks down, medical bill.
Exactly. It keeps the roof from caving in during a storm. It lets you sleep at night. You need that buffer.
And this is the big but.
It is not the engine. It's not what drives the car forward. It doesn't get you accelerating towards real freedom. It won't break you out of that cycle of trading time for money.
It makes the hamster wheel feel a bit safer, maybe, but it doesn't actually get you off the wheel.
Well put.
Yeah.
So why does this just safe advice still hang around so strongly?
Well, it feels safe, doesn't it? Responsible, familiar. It's what we heard from people we trust.
And let's be honest, it's just easier. It's easier to follow the old script than to challenge it, learn new things, and face the idea that what you've been doing might actually be holding you back.
Yeah, it takes guts to look at the financial advice everyone gives and say, hang on, I'm not sure this adds up anymore.
But if you're tuning into this deep dive, chances are you've already felt that little nudge saying the old map isn't working.
You're ready to question it, ready to maybe rewrite that financial script.
In doing that, it absolutely means understanding the big forces at play today. And probably the biggest, most misunderstood force is inflation.
Ah, inflation. The word we hear constantly. News reports, politicians.
Everywhere. But for most people, it's still kind of abstract, something happening out there until it hits their wallet directly.
Yeah, until the grocery bill makes your eyes water or the rent goes up again.
Exactly. People know the word, but they don't always grasp how profoundly it impacts their savings over time. Often until it's kind of too late.
Okay, let's make it real. Imagine you worked super hard, sacrificed stuff, saved up, say, $10,000.
Okay. A nice cushion, feels good, responsible.
Right. Now imagine you put that $10 case somewhere totally safe, like literally in a safe deposit box at the bank, 0 interest, just sitting there.
Okay, locked away.
A year goes by, you go back, open the box, the $10,000 is still there. Same bills, looks the same, nothing lost, right?
Seems like it. The number hasn't changed.
But outside that box, in the real world you live in, prices have gone up, groceries maybe 8% more expensive, rent maybe 10% higher, gas, utilities, everything costs more.
So the amount of money is the same.
But what it can actually buy has shrunk. Its purchasing power has quietly evaporated.
That's the silent thief aspect. The number looks fine, so you feel okay, but the actual value is bleeding away without you seeing it happen day to day.
It really is like that slow leak in a tire analogy you use. You don't notice it at first, but over time, you just can't go as far. You're losing pressure constantly.
And inflation basically does that to your money if it's just sitting still. It punishes inaction.
So while you're feeling secure because the number isn't going down, your actual ability to afford your future goals, retirement, kids, college, that house is being eroded year after year.
And it gets even trickier because the headline inflation number you hear, like, say, 5%, that's just an average.
Right. A mix of everything. TVs might get cheaper, but
the things that eat up the biggest chunk of your budget, food, housing, healthcare, energy, often inflate much faster than that average number.
So the inflation you personally experience might be way higher than the official rate.
Very likely. So if your savings account pays maybe 1%, but your actual cost of living is going up by 7% or 8%, you're not just losing 6 or 7% in value. You are falling further behind every single month.
Wow, trying to save your way ahead in that environment. It really is like walking backwards in a race you're trying to win.
You're putting in effort, maybe saving diligently, but you're losing ground relative to the finish line.
But here's the twist, right? Inflation isn't bad for everyone.
That's the crucial insight. It's primarily the enemy of the saver, the person holding cash or near cash equivalents that aren't growing.
So who isn't hurt by it or who might even benefit?
Investors. People who own assets. Think about it. If you own things that tend to increase in value over time, like stocks in profitable companies or real estate in desirable areas, or maybe your own growing business.
Their value often goes up with inflation.
Often, yes, sometimes even faster than inflation. So while the saver's cash is losing purchasing power, the investor's assets might be holding their value or even gaining purchasing power.
That's a massive difference in outcome. One group is being silently robbed. The other is potentially using the same economic force to their advantage.
And it's not accidental. It's strategy. It's understanding the game. Once you shift your view of inflation from just being this annoying background noise to being a powerful economic force you need to strategically navigate, everything changes.
You start asking different questions, not just how much should I save, but how can I position my money so it outpaces inflation?
Exactly. So the question for you listening is, right now, with how your money is set up, are you unknowingly feeding that silent thief by letting your savings erode? Or are you actively protecting your future by making sure your money is positioned to grow?
Because doing nothing, that is a choice. And in this economy, it's an increasingly costly one.
Yeah, it really highlights that fundamental difference between just holding on to money and making it work for you. Which brings us straight to saving versus investing.
Okay, let's get right into it, because this is where theory meets action. Most people say, yeah, I want financial freedom. They dream about choices, less stress, more time.
But their actions often scream financial survival. Save, hoard, wait, hope. Hope that pile gets big enough somehow.
When the core difference is really simple, isn't it?
It is. Saving is about preservation, protecting what you have. Investing is about multiplication, growing what you have.
Okay, break that down. Saving is like putting apples in a basket, hoping they don't go bad.
Yeah, exactly. You're storing value, trying to keep the number of apples constant.
Investing is like planting the apple seeds.
Right. Putting them in fertile ground, nurturing them, expecting some to grow into trees that produce way more apples than you started with. It's about growth, potential, multiplication over time.
And the long-term results are just starkly different. Savers often run out or fall behind. Investors strategically tend to sail up.
Let's use those numbers again because they really hit home. Say you manage to save $100 a month, every month, for 10 years.
Okay, that's $12,000 you've put away. Good discipline.
Very good. Put it in a savings account earning, let's be generous, 1% a year. After 10 years, you've got about $13,000. So $1,000 in interest.
But as we just discussed, with inflation over 10 years, that $13,000 probably buys less than the $12,000 could have bought when you started.
Precisely. You gained dollars, but likely lost purchasing power. Now, same scenario, $100 a month, 10 years, $12,000 total put in. But instead of saving, you invest it, maybe in a simple diversified index fund averaging, say, 8% a year, a historically reasonable expectation over a decade.
Okay, same money, same time. What's the result?
After 10 years, you could be looking at over $18,000.
Wow, that's $5,000 more than the saving example, just from a different approach.
Now stretch it out. Same $100 a month, but for 20 years. Total input, $24,000. Keep that 8% average return going.
What does that look like?
You could be past $55,000.
$55,000 compared to maybe, what, $26,000 or $27,000 in the savings account over 20 years before inflation.
Exactly. Same money, same effort, same time frame. Radically different outcome. It's not even close.
And the magic behind that is compound growth.
That's the engine. Compound growth. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. It's where your money makes money, and then that money starts making more money. It snowballs.
It grows exponentially, not just adding the same amount each year.
Right. Like rolling a snowball down a hill. It picks up more snow faster as it gets bigger. Starts small, ends up huge. That's compounding.
So if it's that powerful, why isn't everyone doing it? We touched on it, but...
Fear.
Huge factor. Fear of losing money. Fear of market crashes. Fear that it's too complicated, only for the pros.
And that fear isn't totally irrational. Markets do go up and down.
They do. But often the fear is based on incomplete information or focusing only on short-term dips. And it keeps people stuck in what feels safe cash, but which, as we've seen, is actually guaranteed to lose value over time due to inflation. It prevents them from ever reaching freedom.
Let's talk about risk then. Investing has risk, yes, but not investing. That has risks too, doesn't it? Absolutely. There's the risk of inflation eating your savings. The risk of just never having enough because your money isn't growing meaningfully. The risk of being stuck in a job you hate because you don't have the financial cushion to leave. The risk of letting fear stop you from building something better.
It's like that island analogy again. Afraid of sharks, market risk, so you stay on the shore. You avoid the sharks, sure, but you never reach the island, financial freedom.
Right. The irony is, by trying to avoid the perceived risk of investing, you often lock yourself into the guaranteed risk of financial stagnation or decline relative to your goals.
So the big mindset shift is, saving is for security. Necessary baseline. Helps you sleep.
Yep. Investing is for possibility. It's for growth. It's for building a future different from your present. That's where freedom is found.
And most people focus only on security, neglecting possibility.
Almost entirely. But you need both, the safety net and the engine for growth. And crucially, you don't need to be rich to start investing. That's just wrong.
It's how people get wealthy and not just what they do once they are wealthy.
Precisely. It starts small, consistently, strategically. The sooner you flip that switch in your head from just protecting to actively growing, the sooner your money starts working for you.
Saving is the brake. Investing is the gas pedal.
Perfect analogy.
Mm-hmm.
You need both to drive safely and get somewhere. But too many people only ever use the brake.
So, are you just trying to avoid crashing? Or are you actually trying to go somewhere with your finances?
That question leads us deeper, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond just saving versus investing, into how we actually think about money. The difference between financial literacy and financial intelligence.
Right. This is interesting because we hear so much about financial literacy, budgeting, interest rates, credit scores, all that stuff.
And it's important, don't get me wrong. You need that foundational knowledge, how money works mechanically.
But there's something missing, even if you know all that.
There often is.
Yeah.
Which leads to this slightly jarring idea. You can be perfectly financially literate, know all the definitions, pass all the quizzes, and still be broke or stuck.
How does that happen? If you know the rules.
Because knowing the rules isn't the same as knowing how to win the game. You have the information, literacy, but maybe not the strategy, the insight, the application, intelligence.
So literacy is knowing the what, intelligence is knowing the how and when.
Exactly. Literacy is knowing the rules of chess, how the knight moves, what checkmate is. Intelligence is being the grandmaster, seeing the whole board, thinking steps ahead, knowing when to break a standard opening, how to handle pressure.
It's not just memorized facts, it's how you think. Strategy, pattern recognition, emotional control.
All of that. It's seeing the connections between markets, mindset, timing, opportunity. It's playing offense strategically, not just playing defense by following basic rules.
Can you give an example? Literate versus intelligent thinking.
Sure. A literate person knows how to budget meticulously, track every penny, great skill. An intelligent person understands what not to budget strictly. They know where to invest aggressively, maybe in themselves, a skill, a business where to cut back hard on low-value stuff, and how to use money to buy back time.
Okay. Another one?
Literate person compares mortgage rates, finds the lowest percentage, good. Intelligent person understands market cycles, leverage, asset appreciation. They might strategically take on more debt at a low rate to acquire an asset they believe will grow significantly faster than the debt cost. They see debt as a potential tool, not just a burden.
Right. Literate understands risk exists. Intelligent understands that avoiding all risk is often the biggest risk in the long run.
Precisely. That the cost of missed opportunity can be far greater than the cost of a calculated mistake.
So this intelligence, it's not just book smarts, it's built how?
Experience, definitely. Learning from wins and losses. Curiosity, constantly asking why and
Right.
what if. And a huge piece is exposure, intentionally learning from people who think and operate differently, who challenge your financial assumptions.
Which explains why two people with the same job, same city, same basic knowledge can end up in wildly different financial places after 10 years.
It's often not the knowledge gap, it's the intelligence gap. The difference in strategy, mindset, risk tolerance, ability to act.
So are you aiming to be just a money manager or a money thinker?
Because literacy helps you manage, helps you survive within the system. Intelligence helps you thrive, helps you build, helps you shape the system to your advantage.
Intelligence lets you act when others freeze, see opportunity in downturns.
Yes. See money not just as math, but as energy, movement, leverage. When you build that, you stop being afraid of money and start actively using it as a tool.
Which brings us to, okay, if saving isn't enough, and investing is key, and intelligence guides it, what are the actual engines that build serious wealth?
Right. Beyond the mindset, what are the fundamental mechanics?
Let's cut through the noise here. Forget the get-rich-quick stuff, the hacks, the magic formulas.
Please. Real lasting wealth, the kind that changes lives and legacies, is built on more substantial foundations.
And the core idea is wealth isn't built by doing more of the same. It's built by doing things differently.
And that difference usually involves leveraging one or more of three core engines. Pretty much every wealthy person relies heavily on at least one, usually all three.
Okay, engine number one.
Value creation. This is the heart of it all, the absolute core.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth doesn't just appear out of thin air. Initially, it comes from solving problems for people, helping them, creating something new they want or need, or making something existing way better.
If you provide real value, especially if you can provide it to lots of people at scale.
Money follows. Always. It's the fundamental exchange.
Examples: starting a business, inventing a tool, writing useful software, sharing knowledge that helps people, entertaining, teaching, healing.
Endless possibilities. But it starts with identifying a need or desire and meeting it effectively. And remember, this is the only way new money actually enters the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is just moving existing money around.
So the question shifts from how do I make money to Kia.
Whose life can I improve,
Right.
and how can I do that at scale? That's the wealth-generating question.
Okay, engine number two.
Ownership. Let's be direct. You will struggle to build significant wealth if your only strategy is trading your hours for dollars.
Because your time is limited. Wealth potential shouldn't be.
Exactly. Ownership is what separates earning a paycheck from earning profits or equity. It's the bridge.
Owning what kinds of things?
Equity in a business, yours or someone else's. Intellectual property patents, copyrights on creations like books, music, software, brands. Real estate that generates income or appreciates. Digital assets, websites, online courses, communities that have value.
And the power is that these things can grow or generate income even when you're not actively working on that minute.
That's the key. It breaks the time for money link. Your effort gets multiplied. You build assets, things that work for you, not just income from your direct labor. Wealthy people own things that work hard for them.
Got it. Engine number three.
Leverage. This is the accelerator, the multiplier.
Doing more with less.
Less of your direct input, yes. Less time, less effort, sometimes less capital to achieve a bigger result. There are different kinds. Capital leverage, using money to make more money, like investing. People leverage building teams, delegating, scaling through others' efforts.
Code leverage. Software, automation.
Right. Systems that work 24/7 without getting tired.
Yep.
And media leverage, creating content, like this deep dive, that reaches many people passively over time, spreading your message or value without you repeating it individually.
So leverage explains why one great online course can earn more than a traditional job. Or one piece of software.
Exactly. It multiplies the impact of the initial value creation and ownership.
Mm-hmm.
The wealthiest people aren't necessarily working more hours. They are leveraging more effectively.
So the shift is away from just work harder towards asking.
Yeah.
What value can I create that scales? What can I own that works for me? Where can I apply leverage, capital, people, code, media to amplify my results?
And when you focus on those three, value, ownership, leverage, money starts chasing you instead of you always chasing it.
That's when the whole game changes.
Oh.
It really does.
Wow, we've covered a lot. Challenged the saving myth, talked inflation, investing, literacy versus intelligence, these three engines.
Yeah, it's a fundamental reframing for a lot of people.
So the big question now is probably, okay, I get it. Saving isn't enough. I need to invest, think smarter, focus on value, ownership, leverage. But how? How do I actually start making that shift?
The practical steps, going from understanding the theory to actually changing your behavior.
Right. How do you go from being a saver, stuck in that mindset, to being a strategist, building something?
Let's break it down into actionable steps. And this isn't about becoming a Wall Street wizard overnight. It's about gradually upgrading your financial operating system, your thinking, so your actions start to follow.
Okay, step one.
Start with awareness,
Uh-huh.
brutal honesty time. Track everything.
Meaning, look at the numbers, like really look.
Yep. Open the accounts, pull the statements, see where the money is actually going. Do it with curiosity, not judgment, like a scientist studying data.
What's the goal here? Just knowing the numbers.
Understanding your patterns. What's
Rich.
your real monthly spending? What are your default money habits? Most people need clarity before they need a bigger income. You can't change what you don't see.
Use an app, spreadsheet, notebook, whatever works.
Whatever works. Just get objective about your own financial behavior first. Observe, then you can rewire.
Okay. Step two.
Reallocate, don't just restrict. Traditional saving advice is all about cutting back. Cut the coffee, cancel Netflix, stop eating out.
Which feels limiting, like shrinking your life.
Exactly. It
Whoops.
might be necessary in a crisis, but it's not a great long-term strategy for thriving. The strategist thinks differently. Where can I reallocate funds?
Meaning,
Identify money spent on things that don't actually bring you much joy or value. Then, consciously redirect that specific money into something productive. Maybe goes into an investment account each month, or buys a course to learn a valuable skill, or funds a small experiment in value creation or ownership. It's moving money from low-value consumption to potential growth. That's the strategic pivot.
got it. Step 3.
Learn to play offense. Remember, wealth is built mostly on offense. Once your basic defense is solid, emergency fund, bills covered. Time to shift focus. Ask, what am I actively building toward?
Examples of offense.
Starting that side hustle, even tiny. Investing time learning a high-leverage skill like coding, marketing, sales. Beginning to build a small digital asset, maybe a simple website or template.
Doesn't mean quit your job tomorrow.
Not at all. It means planting seeds today. Even just an hour a week focused on offensive strategy can change everything over time if it's consistent and intentional.
Step 4.
Build the right environment. Your thinking is shaped by who and what you surround yourself with.
So look at your conversations. Are they about problems or possibilities? Fear or curiosity?
Exactly. You might not need to cut people off, but you absolutely need new inputs. Follow creators who challenge you. Join communities where ambition is normal. Read stuff that stretches your thinking, even if it's uncomfortable. Consciously upgrade your environment. It sets your mental baseline.
Makes sense? And step 5.
Make one strategic move per month. Super simple rule, but powerful. Avoid overwhelm. Don't try to do everything at once.
Just commit to one thing each month.
One distinct strategic financial move.
Yeah.
Could be opening the investment account. Could be automating a transfer. Could be launching that tiny $5 digital product. Could be refinancing a debt. Could be reading one impactful finance book. Could be reaching out to a potential mentor.
Just one, but consistently.
12 strategic moves in a year. That's genuinely life-changing. Consistency beats intensity. The compound effect works on actions too, not just money.
Okay, so track everything, reallocate, don't just restrict, play offense, build the right environment, and make one strategic move a month.
That's the roadmap to start shifting your operating system. And remember, if you've been mostly a saver, you're not behind. You're just beginning.
No guilt trips. It came from wanting to be responsible.
A good instinct. Now it's time to graduate. From hoarding to building, from scarcity to strategy, from playing not to lose.
To playing to win, building a life where money works for you.
You don't need anyone's permission to start that shift. It begins with asking yourself that question.
What if I stopped just saving to survive and started strategizing to thrive?
So let's just zoom out for a final thought here. We started this deep dive challenging that core belief about saving being the only path.
Yeah, the advice we all got.
And we've seen why it falls short today. Inflation's bite, the power of investing and compounding, the difference between knowing stuff, literacy, and applying it wisely, intelligence, and those key wealth engines, value, ownership, leverage.
The big takeaway feels clear. Saving is essential for security. It's the baseline. But it is absolutely not enough for real wealth or freedom anymore.
It keeps you afloat, sure, but it doesn't get you to the shore you want to reach. Security isn't freedom. Saving buys security where you are. It rarely buys the freedom to choose where you go next.
True freedom comes from creating value, owning assets, thinking differently, taking control.
Exactly, becoming the author of your financial story, not just a passive character reacting to the plot.
But knowing all this, it's not enough, is it? This deep dive is meant to equip people.
Absolutely, but the equipment only works if you use it. Knowledge needs action to create change.
So we have a challenge for everyone listening.
Let's make it concrete. Within the next 7 days, make one strategic financial move.
And maybe pick one that feels just a little bit scary, stretches you.
That's often where the real growth happens. What could it be? Open that investment account finally, outline that business or product idea, cancel a useless subscription, and immediately redirect that money to a growth fund. Reach out to someone you admire financially.
Just one thing. Next 7 days.
Don't wait for confidence. Confidence comes from action. Taking that step, even scared, builds the muscle for the next one.
Every successful person started somewhere, often with fear, maybe with nothing, but always with a strategic thought and a first step.
So if today feels like your starting point, your moment of shifting from just saving to actually building, you're right on time. Perfect timing.
Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. We hope it left you thinking differently, acting boldly, and ready to shift from saving to building. If it sparks something in you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, stay intentional, stay sharp, and keep growing.